The novel begins on the 24th of January and depicts how digital youth like Shireen and Basim are preparing on Facebook for the demonstrations of the following days. And the novel ends on 11th of February when Mubarak was ousted. The last chapter is called The Beginning, which portrays all the characters taking part in the referendum on the new constitution in March 2011. Now, let me just give you a glimpse of what human rights and the Egyptian revolution. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was composed by the General Assembly of the United Nations in 1948. When H.Elkheshen, one of the main drafters of the document, outlined the central tenets of human rights. Drawing on the battle cry of the French Revolution, Kassim identified the 4 pillars of the Declaration as dignity, liberty, equality, and brotherhood. The 27 articles of the Declaration were divided among these 4 pillars. These 4 words were in many of the slogans which Egyptians chanted during the revolution. Jack Donnelly, in Universal Human Rights, consider the range of issues covered by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which recognizes personal rights to life, nationality, recognition before the law, protection against torture, and protection against discrimination on such bases as race and sex, legal rights to a fair trial, presumption of innocence, protection against arbitrary arrest, detention or exile, a comparable variety of civil liberties, and political rights, subsistence rights to food and health care, economic rights to work, social rights to education. Many of the above were not observed in Egypt and many other Arab countries, and indeed many other countries in the world before or even after the Arab Spring. There are many instances of these violations in the 2 novels under analysis. For example, this of course is the well-known Battle of the Camel. It was one of the most inhumane and outrageous events during the revolution, and it is depicted in 7 days of Tahrir as follows. I will not read the whole thing because we've all seen it on TV and home. Suddenly horses were galloping amongst the protectors, followed by 1 or more camels. The riders were swaying from one side to another with their sticks, whips, and some of them had swords. Protesters who were standing retreated into the background as a result of their initial sense of shock, etc., etc., until at the very end, more people were hurt as bullets and shells were shot, and the smell of blood was in the air. This day was by far one of the worst in the history of Egypt, as this barbaric attack was led by Egyptians against Egyptians. Another horrific scene is portrayed in Wings of the Butterfly, as the narrator describes one of the scenes that demonstrate the violations of human rights by the police forces during the revolution. The black vans, I'm quoting from the novel, Wings of the Butterfly, the black vans of the Central Security suddenly dominated the scene, coming from the opposite side of the road. The masses who were about to be crushed under these huge cars dispersed quickly. The forces inside the vans poured out, soldiers carrying heavy sticks, and started beating the heads and backs of boys and girls amongst the loud screams of some and the great terror of everybody. I can skip this part. And then later on the narrator adds, soldier of the security forces attacked the young people who were gathering around Ashraf. H.Elkheshen is one of the characters, with their heavy sticks and separated them. Some of the security forces tied Dr. Ashraf down. The officer handcuffed him, saying, "Now come with me to the police station to let me hear your empty threats, because I did not hear them well in this noise." Of course, there are other violations of human rights, like women being sexually harassed. And when Dr. H.Elkheshen is unlawfully arrested, Doha's friend Mounira, who is a political activist, remarks that many demonstrators were standing in front of the People's Assembly asking for the release of Dr. Ashraf and the implementation of human rights laws, which Egypt signed in the form of international declaration 10 years ago, but which is violated every day. Doha too is detained without a warrant in an unidentified building, having participated in a demonstration calling for reform. Of course, there are many passages in the novel that show that there was torture used all the time against prisoners and protesters. My conclusion is both heroines ultimately rebel against political corruption and male oppression by taking part in demonstrations and rebelling against their husbands and political oppressors. Doha is set free by being divorced and will marry Ashraf al-Zaini while they have in 7 days and he writes to her husband, asking him to leave her and let her be, like the very famous slogan, Irham, Irham, just as the popular slogan she was using together with millions of other demonstrators asking Mubarak to leave. She refuses to continue being just a body for her husband. Sharif withdraws his paper from the police academy and enrolls in faculty of law after having witnessed police brutality practiced against the people. As for Ramiz, he refuses to immigrate with his parents to Canada and decides to stay in Egypt and fight for his rights as a cop. Doha al-Kinani transforms, metaphorically speaking, from being a moth and becomes a fully-fledged butterfly that can fly and enjoy freedom, just like Egypt, hopefully. Thus, the novelist predicts a new beginning for this country. Along the same line, Ayman in Wings of the Butterfly, who was searching for his mother, finally reunites with her, and many of the characters in both novels achieve a kind of transformation. Their dreams come true, and they regain their sense of identity through their active participation in the revolution. Salmawi's visionary novel has ushered in the actual revolution. As for H.Elkheshen's, it is a marvelous experience in reliving a number of special days during the Egyptian revolution. Those novels successfully portrayed the violation of human rights, and the Arab Spring is shown to have arrived on the political as well as the social levels in Egypt in both novels. And both works end on a hopeful note. Thank you very much.